Yes, after a workout, always good to refuel with a delicious dish, and we're going to continue on that warming trend and warm you up from the inside out. So yesterday, we showed you a delicious butternut soup recipe. It was creamy, it was wonderful, and we have proof that the humble butternut can go beyond just soup. It's versatile to use in an array of dishes, and today, we're going to prove that by making a fresh milk baked butternut curry. Yes, I said it, baked. What does it all mean? Michaela is here to bake us a curry. I've never baked a curry before. This is really cool. But let's start with the humble star of the show here. Butternut is probably one of the most versatile vegetables.
It really is, and the best part about it, it adds that bit of sweetness. And if you let it cook down long enough, it becomes like a little bit mushy. I quite like my butternut mushy. How do you like your butternut?
I like it caramelized.
Ooh.
And that's why I like the idea of baking it, because it's going to give it that extra little bit of oomph there. But we've got to start in a pan. So what you're doing, and what are you doing, and what's going into the pan?
So when it comes to curries, well, you were having this discussion about curries that don't use onions.
Yeah.
This one uses an onion, though.
This uses the onion. Yeah, it's amazing to me, because I'm always like, if you're going to be cooking tomato, you're cooking onion. And that was quite a kind of an eye-opener to me. But this guy starts with our onions in the pan first.
So you'd want to caramelize this. Onion tends to take a little bit longer to cook than everything else. So you want to start that frying process first. And then we have some ginger and garlic, the base for most good dishes.
Completely. And what I'm finding is, now that I'm kind of on my journey to making good curries, and it is just a journey, you're packing so much flavour in there with things like ginger and with the garam masala, and it often adds the heat without you having to go all out with the chili, which is quite nice. So you've got something that's so spicy and flavourful before you have to throw in the green or the red chili to kind of add the real heat. And it's just about, especially with a vegetable dish, layers and layers of flavour.
So we have some curry leaves in here too, and some tomato paste. You cook these down a little bit, and then the key to a good curry is always cooking out your curry powders sufficiently. First,
and I heard, I don't know, you might have actually given me this great advice, but the reason why we use quite a healthy dose of oil in the beginning is because that becomes the transferer. It carries the flavour. Exactly. And that's what layers. So you really want to cook those spices, get it infused into the oil so that everything else that's cooking in that is taking on board that beautiful flavour.
So,
it's already smelling
you need
spectacular.
The oil to basically coat everything else, because this tends to dry out quite quickly, especially when you start adding the spices to it. So you can see like half of the oil is already basically gone. Yeah. So you'll cook that out until, I'd give it about 2 minutes or so. You tend to want to cook out your curry paste and your powders. It does just activate the flavours of them, and that's the whole thing about curries is flavour.
And especially, like, you know, if you're going to want to introduce more vegetables into your diet, this is a great way to do that. Through a curry, you can get lots of flavour, and it can be interesting. It doesn't have to be bland. So this is a great way to kind of start your journey into that space. Start with a good flavoursome curry where you won't actually even notice that you're not eating the meat. In this case, the fact that you've got the butternut that's going to go sweet in the oven, it's going to caramelize, that's magic. And
especially with someone with kids like you, for instance, you can take out the chilies and everything and just substitute sweeter vegetables. So if you're doing like a sweet potato to this as well, that would be delicious.
I suppose you could add legumes, chickpeas, you could add lentils, you could take this a lot further. And I suppose something like this is great from a budgetary perspective, because you can get a lot out of very little. And the ingredients aren't expensive, and this really can go the distance.
No. And meat is actually quite expensive nowadays.
Yeah, completely. You pay for the right,
Yeah. So once you've cooked out all the curry powder and you've cooked the butternut a little bit, you will add some chicken stock just to coat it. And if you could just pour me some clover milk, 1 cup, please.
Okay. And I suppose if you wanted to go completely vegan, you could use a veggie stock. You don't have to go with the chicken.
You could. Or... Oh, there we go. And you'll just add the milk. And then we'll bake this in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius until the butternut is all thoroughly cooked and to the degree of dissolved you'd like.
Okay, I love it.
And then once it's done, we have some fresh peas that you add in the last like 10 minutes or so of the baking process. And
So
once it comes out...
don't need a lot of cooking time, yeah.
No. Okay, so the butternut should take about like 15 minutes to cook, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've done that. So the initial phase of the cooking is ready to just introduce and activate all of those beautiful flavours, and then we pop it into the oven to let the magic happen. I'm going to wander my way across here to see how our beautiful, fresh, premium, full cream clover milk translates into our beautiful baked butternut curry.
I've never had a curry this early in the morning, but
I have. That's the joy of doing the show. It happens like every second day.
How good is that?
It's sweet. It's quite mild. I mean, I would add a bit more chili, I think a bit more heat. But those spices come through beautifully. The flavour of the butternut is so beautifully complemented by the flavours of the curry. This is amazing, and it's comforting. Absolutely beautiful.
You should just keep eating.
I'm going to. This is my breakfast right here. If you would like to emulate this, and I love the fact that the peas still have a bit of body as well to them. There's a bit of a textural element. Absolutely wonderful. You can go to expressoshow.com and find the full culinary inspiration right there.
Made with love by Clover.